Welcome back to Dirty 20, everybody. Today we add a twist to our characters of the Forgotten Realms by discussing the tavern of all taverns, the Yawning Portal. Let's get on with the show. So, as I mentioned, this is a little bit of a twist. We kind of discussed the Yawning Portal previously, and it really kind of inspired me to look into it and read through what I have in the books that I have. And I thought that, you know, if you guys like this, perhaps we can do a little spin-off show, maybe locations of the Forgotten Realms. If we get enough likes, I'll give it a shot. So please hit the like button, share this video, and let's get it done. Now, the Yawning Portal is a tavern located in the castle ward of Waterdeep on the Sword Coast. This awesome location first appeared in the Ed Greenwood, creator of the Forgotten Realms, penned resource book, Waterdeep and the North. It has made several appearances through the years in novels, games, and adventures, most recently in 5th edition in the adventure Waterdeep Dragon Heist. But it also was very prominent in the 5th edition compilation of classic adventures, the Tales of the Yawning Portal. So let's first see how it is introduced in its most recent iteration in Waterdeep Dragon Heist. The Yawning Portal is a famous inn and tavern located in the castle ward of Waterdeep. Adventurers can meet all sorts of colourful characters here. The place is a stone building with a slate roof and several chimneys. Most of the ground floor is taken up by the tavern's common room, which contains a 40-foot diameter open well. Actually, the outer shell of a sunken stone tower that descends 140 feet to the first level of Undermountain, the sprawling dungeon under Waterdeep. A rope and pulley mechanism is used to lower adventurers into the well and hoist them out. The upper floors of the Yawning Portal contains comfortable, nicely appointed rooms for guests. Durnan, the proprietor, charges standard prices for food, drink, and lodging. So, there's the little intro in Waterdeep A Dragon Heist, and in Tales of the Yawning Portal, as I mentioned, it is a compilation of classic dungeons, and the premise is that these are stories that are told by the people at the Yawning Portal. So we've talked about this book in the past, and in fact, a friend who I spoke to who was going to start DMing, he asked if this was a good book for a new DM, and I think in many ways it is. It has one of my favorite all-time kind of intro adventures in the Sunless Citadel, which I highly recommend. And as I've said in the past with this book, my favorite thing about it is that you can pluck the different adventures and put them into your campaign, whether it's your sandbox or whatever, and they can work really, really well. But I love the conceit of this tavern with this kind of ex-adventurer that we're going to talk about in a minute, Durnan, who runs this this place, and also the enticement of the well, the entrance into Undermountain, and its relationship to Halaster Blackcloak, who is definitely someone who we may do a video in Characters of the Forgotten Realms about. Let's also take a look at what it says in the introduction for Tales of the Yawning Portal about the Yawning Portal. Amid the bustle of Waterdeep within the castle ward, where barristers, nobles and emissaries battle with word and contract, stands an inn not quite like any other. Before there was a castle ward, or even what could be recognized as an ancestor of the City of Splendors, there was a dungeon, and in that dungeon begins the tale of the Yawning Portal. In ages past, the mighty wizard Halaster built his tower at the foot of Mount Waterdeep and delved deep into tunnels first built by dwarves and drow in search of ever greater magical power. Halaster and his apprentices expanded the tunnels they found, worming out new layers under the surface for reasons of their own. In time, their excavations grew into the vast labyrinth known today as Undermountain, the largest dungeon in all of the Forgotten Realms. Halaster eventually disappeared, as have all his apprentices, but the massive complex he built remains to this day. For untold years, the secrets of Undermountain remained hidden from the surface world. Everyone who entered its halls failed to return. Its reputation as a death trap grew to the point that criminals in Waterdeep who were sentenced to die were forcibly escorted into the dungeon and left to fend for themselves. All of that changed with the arrival of two men, a warrior named Durnan and a ne'er-do-well named Mert. The duo were the first adventurers to return from Undermountain, laden with riches and magic treasures. While Mert used his wealth to buy a mansion, Durnan had different plans. Durnan retired from adventuring and purchased the land on which sat the deep, broad well that was the only known entrance to the dungeon. Around this well he built a tavern, an inn that caters to adventurers and those who seek their services, and he called it the Yawning Portal. Some of the magic Durnan looted on his successful foray into Undermountain granted him a lifespan that exceeds even that of an elf, and for decades Durnan left, delving into Undermountain to younger folk. Yet one day something drew him back. Days of waiting for his triumphant return from the dungeon turned to months and then years. For nearly a century, citizens of Waterdeep thought him dead, but one night a voice called up from the well. Few at first believed it could be Durnan, but folk as long lived as he vouched it so. The Yawning Portal had passed into the hands of his descendants, but Durnan returned with enough riches for them to quietly retire. Durnan took his customary place behind the bar, raised a toast to his own safe return, and then began serving customers as if he'd never left. Adventurers from across Faerun and even from elsewhere in the great span of the multiverse visit the Yawning Portal to exchange knowledge about Undermountain and other dungeons. Most visitors are content to swap stories by the hearth, but sometimes a group driven by greed, ambition or desperation pays the toll for entry and descends the well. Most don't survive to make the return trip, but enough come back with riches and tales of adventure to tempt other groups into trying their luck. But aside from the place itself, you have the interesting character of Durnan. If we turn again to Waterdeep Dragon Heist and look at page 202, there's a little description of him that we can look at. Durnan is the owner and proprietor of the Yawning Portal. Although he looks like a middle-aged man whose best days are behind him, Durnan has a sharp mind and can still swing a sword when he must. He doesn't like talking about his past, and he won't reveal anything about his time as an adventurer. If Durnan has any living family members, he doesn't speak of them. He rarely says two words when one will do. He has a dark sense of humour and spares no pity on those who take the risk of entering Undermountain. He keeps Grimvault, his magic greatsword, within reach under the bar, and can chop tables in half with it if he so desires. He also can pull out a double crossbow, a heavy crossbow with reduced range that fires 2 bolts at the same target. Still, if he gets involved in a brawl, he prefers fighting with fists or a well-flung tankard. Durnan doesn't often venture far from the Yawning Portal, using his employees to run errands for him as needed. If he's feeling charitable, he might gently discourage likeable nobodies from venturing into Undermountain. If he thinks they wouldn't survive, he can also direct adventurers toward tavern regulars who might be able to help them or offer useful information. If we head back to the Yawning Portal and take a look at page 5, there's a little bit more info that might help if you are going to use the Yawning Portal and Durnan in your campaign. The proprietor of the Yawning Portal is something of an enigma. Blessed with a seemingly limitless lifespan by treasures he brought back from his expedition nearly 2 centuries ago, he is as much a fixture in the taproom as the well. Durnan is a man of few words. He expects to be paid for his time and will offer insight and rumours only in return for hard cash. We know the odds and take our chances, he says. Whether he is breaking up a card game that has turned violent or refusing the pleas of adventurers trapped at the bottom of the well who are unable to pay for a ride up. Despite his stony heart, he is an excellent source of information about Undermountain and other dungeons, provided one can pay his price. And then they've done something I think is quite useful. We've talked about personality traits, ideals, bonds and flaws, and here they give you some for Durnan to, again, help you kind of embody the character and know how to play him. Personality trait, isolation. It's a cruel world. All people have to fend for themselves. Self-sufficiency is the only path to success. Ideal, independence. Someone who can stand alone can stand against anything. Bond, the Yawning Portal. This place is my only home. My friends and family are long gone. I love this place, but I try not to get attached to the people here. I'll outlive them all. Lucky me. Flaw. Heartless. If you want sympathy, the Temple of Ilmater is in the Sea Ward. No matter how bad things are, you'll be gone in a blink of an eye. I call great tavern owners. Durnan is a great source of information. If not necessarily directly, he can definitely point PCs to the people who might have that information. Back in Waterdeep Dragon Heist, we have a stat block, and he looks fun. So he is a CR9, he pretty tough as nails, and with some interesting items. For example, his greatsword Grimvolt, which is a sword of sharpness, +8 to hit, 2d6 +4 slashing damage, and if the target is an object, the hit instead deals 16 slashing damage. If the target is a creature and Durnan rolls a 20 on the d20 for the attack roll, the target takes an extra 14 slashing damage, and Durnan rolls another d20. On a roll of 20, he lops off one of the target's limbs or some other part of its body if it is limbless. Okay, that's just cool. So he has a very, very kind of specific weapon. And I really like his double crossbow as well. So it's a ranged weapon, +6 to hit. It's 60 feet or 250, and it's 2d10 +2 piercing damage. He also has a spell-turning ring, which gives him advantage on saving throws against spells that only target him, so not kind of area of effect, fireball, or anything like that. But yeah, I think he is a lot of fun, and I think he could be fun to, you know, have in a brawl or something of that nature. So, if you do set your campaign in Waterdeep on the Sword Coast, or you have your characters visit Waterdeep, I really strongly recommend you include the Yawning Portal as an interesting place to gather information and, you know, just to experience kind of the legendariness and the people that you could come across. There's also a fantastic piece of art in the back of Waterdeep Dragon Heist, which has all of the different characters. It's really fun and really cute. Check it out. But this is not where this tavern stops being useful. There is a reason why taverns are a cliche in fantasy. They're a place for characters to rest up, to carouse or gather information. And quite honestly, they are my favorite kind of social encounter. Lots of interesting things that you can present to your players that they can interact with. So if you're building your own homebrew city, town, or village, then a tavern is going to be a central part of that location. And having the Yawning Portal to inspire you, to give you ideas in order to make it interesting, I think is another fantastic use for the Yawning Portal. I would also strongly recommend that you check out our video on Lawsmith, who make third-party stuff for D&D. And they did a particular book that I think would be useful called Remarkable Inns and Their Drinks. And again, this can be a source of inspiration for you to create your own, or something that you can just pluck out of the book and use in your adventures. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope that you have learned something about the Yawning Portal. If you have enjoyed it, please do give us a like, share this video around, and if we get enough likes, I will go ahead and do the spin-off series on locations of the Forgotten Realms. Please, everyone, stay safe and keep your eyes peeled for a special message from all the team here at Dirty 20 coming soon. And as always, keep slaying. If you've enjoyed this content, then please smash that like button, subscribe, share this around online, and come and visit our website, www.lavictoriaproductions.com, to see all our past episodes, as well as our blog posts and all the stuff that we're currently working on at La Victoria Productions. Why not reach out to us and tell us what you think of our videos? You can reach us on Twitter. @MouthLaVictoria is our producer. We are also on Instagram. I am EnanoLVP. and our producer is Jazzy J. Chiro. We're also La Victoria Productions on Facebook and LinkedIn. Come on by and let us know what you think.